Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J. Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, y'all? Sir Daniel, I am so excited, as usual, but I'm really excited.
Absolutely. There's plenty of people in the culture, of the culture, that claim to make moves and claim to, people, they throw around the word legendary, they throw around the word iconic, but I think whatever this gentleman calls himself is true. Whatever he answers to is true. It's all respectfully. And there's people that you can tell are just respected in this community no matter where they go. And our guest this evening is just that. And I'm so happy that he's joining us. And we're always in this conversation recently about where hip hop is going.
Yeah.
Is it on its last legs? Nas has said that hip hop is dead and it's not dead, and there's still that ongoing conversation. But it's just, I don't know. Especially for an old head like me, I'm like, what am I to make of this genre anymore? What am I to make of this community, or the music that is supposed to come from this community? What am I to make of it anymore?
Yeah.
And hopefully our next guest can shed some light on it, his perspective, and also draw a through line on how this music, this culture directly affects us in all other facets of our lives.
Manny Faces is joining us. Manny Faces is an award-winning journalist, podcast professional, and founding director of the Hip Hop Institute for Social Innovation. He is a leading voice advocating for the ability of hip hop music and culture to help improve society and uplift community. And he is the author of a new book, which we are going to be talking about tonight, Hip Hop Can Save America: Inspiration for the Nation from a Culture of Innovation. Q Points family, we are absolutely honored and excited to welcome the Manny Faces to Q Points. What's up, man?
What's happening?
Y'all gonna make me cry, man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Listen, thank you for putting the culture on your back, man. And so to that point that Sir Daniel mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that is kind of a ray of hope for me is I think you helped to remind, I'll use an I statement, remind me of the possibilities that still exist through hip hop. Because it's over the years, it's been so easy to be jaded by everything that has happened. And I think what you are doing with this book, and I mean all of your entire platform, the podcast and everything, is a reminder of possibility. So thanks a lot, man, for doing that.
I appreciate that appreciation, and just for the record, I appreciate y'all bringing me here to talk about it. Yeah.
Nah, man, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Before we dive too deep into like the serious questions and whatnot, can I share something really funny? Well, I think it's funny, and it involves J. Ray, and I want to add the question I have for you, Manny.
Oh, I know where you're going.
How many times have you inadvertently been called Manny Fresh?
Manny Fresh.
Because one such my co-host J. Ray over here in our weekly meetings and leading up to this is Manny Fresh is confirmed that he's going to be Manny Fresh.
Yes, several. You heard me say it. I knew you were going. Yeah, it happens.
So how many times? Tell us, how often does it happen? And people are just like, "Hey, Manny Fresh," and you're like, "No."
Well, no.
It's definitely happened several times. Probably, let's see, as many times as people say my name, probably like maybe 2 out of 10, 2 out of times, and then 1 out of those 2 they'll correct themselves immediately, and then the other one just keep going like that's my name. So I just gotta do.
It's all good.
It's fine.
It's all good. And just out of curiosity, where did Manny Faces come from?
Well, you know, it's
Am I
not my government
getting
name.
a
Right.
No, it's just for the record. Everyone know my government name is Bobby Elbows.
Right.
No, that's stupid.
reference? But
Stupid. It's so stupid. I do. TK, like, I know that one. Okay. So years ago, I used to, you know, I was, you know, I was a rapper, and we had rap names and such, and I went under several names. One of them was Schizophrenic. That was like my rap name for a while, and that kind of got a little played out, and then, you know, you started getting like, that's kind of a weird connotation. So my friend of my brother, rest in peace, my man Coleman, we were going over like rap names and what should we call ourselves, and I don't know where the conversation went or how, but it was between Dick Dastardly.
Oh wow! Okay.
Now, if you remember,
you're right. To go with it? Did you have the mustache to go with it?
See, people think I'm just saying that, but there's a reference. Like, there's an old cartoon character, then, or Manny Faces, and I wasn't even it's definitely built off of He-Man. I wasn't a big He-Man fan, but the idea that Manny Faces, Faces had like these three heads, and he would switch between monster, man, and robot. And I was like, ooh, that kind of fits my whole kind of vibe of schizophrenic, which the idea was it's sort of multiple personalities, which isn't even what schizophrenic means. But at the time, in rap parlance, you know, it was fine. But I wanted to show like, you know, multiple styles, multiple just, you know, approaches. And I was like, that kind of might work. And so tried that out for a little while. It stuck. I ended up not really rapping very long after that. But then I was doing remixes and producing and DJing a little bit. And that kind of, you know, stuck after that. So that's where it came from, that conversation, that kind of evolution. But it's still like a nod to like what I was trying to get across through my artistry, as it were, at the time.
And that's so funny because I don't think people understand how important coming up with a moniker is, whether you're an MC, whether you're a DJ, even the fam that tags and they do graffiti art. It's so important what you come up and what you name
what
yourself.
You call yourself. Yeah, 100%.
It's part of your legacy. So of those things, you named quite a few that you've been, the lives that you led as an MC, producer, remixer, DJ, journalist, podcaster, educator, plumber, all of the things. Like, which part of hip hop culture first drew you in, and why did it stick?
So okay, rapping, you know, well, like rap music, because so I grew up on Long Island, right outside of New York City, right? So, and I'm about the same age as hip hop, give or take a couple years. I know I look so young, it's the Botox. So I'm about the same age as hip hop. So, you know, if you're growing up in the 80s, you know, if you're basically an 80s baby, you know, or 70s, 80s baby in New York City, you're catching, you know, hip hop as it's starting to really impact radio. And back then, of course, New Yorkers know you can only listen to radio, hip hop on the radio, rap on the radio, from, you know, Friday and Saturday nights from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Right. Yes.
WBLS, Kiss FM, those are the only options unless you had like the college radio stations in the area. So it became sort of, you know, religion to, you know, so every Friday night I'd go to my friend Craig's house, and you know, we'd be in the basement and we'd play ColecoVision, and, you know, it was the homies from where I grew up, and we would all, and we'd be listening to probably Kiss FM, Red Alerts, you know, is sort of the foundational guy. And we just started like, now we had heard music, and we had, you know, hip hop was around by then. Obviously, you know, we're talking like mid 80s, late 80s, but that it really started becoming part of the zeitgeist. It started, you know, influencing how we, you know, what we heard musically, how we dressed, how we talked, how we banged on the table at lunch, like all that. Oh, you know, I did all the things. And so it was that. It was, and people say like the moment you felt, you know, when did you fall in love with hip? What was the song? So it was my melody, Rakim.
Good choice.
Just like, so my dad was a jazz and blues connoisseur, so I grew up with music in the house and all kind of like different influences and all that. And we heard like Run DMC, we heard rap, and it was cool, and everyone was kind of into it, Lottie Dottie and stuff like that. But when that dropped, I don't know if it triggered something, you know, because as we know, Rakim is a very jazz influenced MC, and the music was so different, and my melody was so like funky and spacey and different than the stuff we had been hearing. And I don't know. So it was that moment that we were all like, yo, it's really taking us over. And so just like anyone else growing up in that time, instant gravitation, instant absorption and instant immersion in it, and we just wanted to do, be, listen, hear, vibe, anything that was rap. And and then I guess a few years later, I maybe around the same time, actually, I did get into DJing pretty early. So it was that I never did graph. I
was going to
was a
ask you
dancer.
that. Did you do any of the other elements? Because it seemed
Nah.
like you hit, yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I'm signing books now, and I'm like, I tell people, I say, look, graph was never my element, so forgive me if when I'm signing these books, it look like a prescription.
But did you do the dollar sign with the 6 lines? At least that. Can you do that?
I could.
I think we all could do that.
The S with the I could, yeah. So yeah, but it was definitely the music. So I was very musically. I found out that I was musically inclined through hip hop. Like I'd done band in school and nothing really popped off to me. But don't forget, I grew up listening to like Muddy Waters. I went to band and was like, "Can I play harmonica?" They were like, "No, we don't do that." Like, what do you mean?
And they should have said yes.
They should have said yes. Got a whole chapter in it. But so I was always musical, but band, I played like trombone, which is not the worst thing, but it was like like old classic like trombone, not like cool trombone. So it didn't grab me, man. And so I didn't even think I was musical until hip hop, until I started DJing, and then I bought a beat machine trying to recreate the beats that I hear on the. So it was definitely the music side that got me in. And then, like I said, I didn't touch those other elements. And then, as we'll talk, probably like sort of that knowledge element that, sometimes we don't talk a lot about. That's what really like brought me in as well. So yeah, that's where it kind of kicked off.
What's interesting about you sharing that story is, and this kind of goes back to what I said at the very beginning too. There have been moments in time in hip hop culture where you will hear a thing or see a thing, and be like, "Wow, what in the world?" Like, what you will see possibilities, right? Hip hop has helped many of us imagine over time, right? So, and we've watched it grow and become the culture and like take over literally everything worldwide, right? But you decide to that point about the knowledge piece to kind of take your experiences, your musical experiences, your knowledge, your know-how, and finesse it in all these other different ways, right? So podcasting, and now we have this book. So I want you to talk about this a little bit. Like how, like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the idea come, did the idea for the Hip Hop Can Save America, the book, come first and then the podcast came? Or did the podcast come first and then the idea for the book came? Like what was the spark? How did that happen?
Yeah. So just taking it back a step because it'll give context. I did music. I did remixes for a bunch of years. You can still find remixes. Google Manny Faces remixes. They're out there. I put out some stuff. This was like MySpace days. Shouts to the Bum Squad DJ crew that used to like I used to feed the DJs, and we had these like little DJ crews. So stuff would get around, and I did pretty well. There was a couple songs that got played, and I had a couple brushes with success. With like celebrity like Akon. We almost had a thing, but nothing really popped off. And in the meantime, in between time, I had to like make money. So I ended up working for a newspaper on Long Island. So I've always had a like penchant for writing, but I really got hired for like graphic design. I had learned how to do graphic design by making my own flyers because I had a little home studio and I wanted to get people to come to the studio. So I knew how to do graphic design because of hip hop. Hip hop gave me everything, bro. Right. And then so now I get a job at a newspaper, and I'm still like doing hip hoppy stuff at night, but I'm working for the newspaper during the day, and I start writing for them too, and it was kind of cool. Then I realized this was, you mentioned either before or during the thing, the hip hop is dead, right? The whole idea, but more specifically, New York hip hop was like called dead. This was at the time, right, where it was like everything else was pop. Houston was popping, of course, Atlanta. And they were like, well, New York hip hop is dead. Now I'm from New York. I'm right outside. I'm 6th Borough, Long Island, Strong Island. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, that's kind of crazy. And in New York, we're arrogant as F, right? So we're like, hip hop, this is Mecca, da da da. Right. But I understand what's happening. Like, there's other parts of the country, and I want to let them cook. But at the same time, I'm looking in New York like, wait a minute, I know like we still doing some things. So I took kind of the idea of the journalism thing that I was doing with these folks on the day job, and I started poking my nose around New York City. And I was like, well, who's doing hip hop? Let's go.
Right.
And I would go to like, not just to like the superstars, because at the time it was, we still had a few heads that were doing things, but the criticism was they were sounding like the rest of the country. So ASAP and French Montana, whatever. Right. So I go around and I start finding all these underground independent, like artists or foundational things, right, that are happening. And weekly showcases that have been going on for 10, 15 years, right? Just people cutting their teeth, end of the week, Freestyle Mondays, Brown Bag All-Stars, the lineup, like all these things where you go in and it's like hip hop, like it's the community, the culture, the music, the vibes, the love. And I'm like, this is amazing. What are you talking about? Then I start seeing groups like Tanya Morgan, shouts to Don Will. You know what I mean? I see my man, homeboy Sandman rocking. I'm just like, yo, these New York hip hop, what is what? Right. What are y'all talking about? So I launched an online publication called Birthplace Magazine to cover New York hip hop all those years. And long path short, I start covering all these independent artists, and I'm doing a companion podcast called the New York Hip Hop Report, which is like sports talk radio for hip hop. It was on Blog Talk Radio for y'all if you know, you know. And so I'm just getting all these like wild experiences. I start talking to people who are super, super smart, but also like rapping on stage at Freestyle Mondays, doing these freestyle competitions. And you got to be really smart to be able to jump on stage. Freestyle Mondays was wild. I just got to shout them out. So there's like contestants, right? 4 and 4 during the night, like 8 contestants total. My man, Ill Spoken, Corey James, he's the host, and Mariella's singing. They got a DJ. They're flipping a coin and they spin a wheel like a game show. And it's like all these categories, like Jeopardy, right?
That's
amazing. And it's like, science, hip hop, food groups, whatever, right? And so you spin the wheel, and there's 2 contestants ready to go, and the category would be like food group. And so, it'll be like, all right, you go first, you go second. All right, you're a shark, you're plankton, go. And you gotta, off the top of your head, you gotta rap like you a shark against the guy who's rapping as plankton. And the guy in shark is like, listen, I'm the king of the ocean. I'll be floating and I'll be bragging and boasting. And you're like, all right. And then the plankton's like, yeah, but I feed the whales. They'll smack you in the head with a tail. Like, whatever. I don't know. I don't do it. They did it. And live band behind them, killing it. Some of the best musicians in New York. I'm watching this and I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? Hip hop in New York is dead. It's crazy. So I start talking to some of the guys. You got to be the guys and gals. Like it was definitely whoever just jumped on stage. It was the mix of demographics. There'd be scientists in there with thugs from the street, and they all having the time of their life. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I start talking to some of the rappers, and they're like, I'm like, you're like really smart. You got to like know a lot to just go on stage and not make a fool of yourself when you don't know what the topic's going to be. And it'll be like Ronald Reagan versus Bill Clinton. Go, like you have to know things. And I'm a teacher. Or I work in, Board of Education. Or I work in advertising. Like, they're smart people.
Yeah.
And then I start realizing, so I started asking them, do you bring that into the classroom? Like, do you bring hip hop into the classroom? Yeah. My man, Mikal Amin, like, hired gun. He was like, yeah, I bring it in the class. I go to Rikers Island. We do poetry and rap workshops with the young men in Rikers Island to teach it. And I'm like, yo, there's a lot going on here.
Yes.
And so I start saying, I love New York. I love this lane that I had created, and I was the only one. I just said on the record, no one covered hip hop in New York City and the surrounding areas more than me, point blank, period. Everyone had moved on. Every single mainstream, or I was a number. I had a New York hip hop calendar. I was the only one. I said, look, this is a bigger thing. You're bringing hip hop into the schools. You're helping these kids get better grades. Like, tell me about this. And they start telling me about it. I'm like, oh my God. So I got to figure out how to talk to these people. So I kind of sunsetted the Birthplace Magazine thing, and I migrated over to Hip Hop Could Save America. Started doing the podcast first. Okay. There's your answer. Yeah.
Okay.
That chicken came first. And then years later, I've been doing it since like 2018, and I had like 60, 70 episodes down, and I've been trying to write a book with the same title, but like a much more fleshed out book, like much more, I don't know, just a more written book. And then shouts to one of my homies, great person, great mentor, great friend, Dr. Lauren Kelly, works at Rutgers University. We were talking, and I started realizing that other books were being made where you could take interviews and then like put them in a book. And I was like, I really want to kind of immortalize these folks, because if you look at who's in the book and who I talk to, they're brilliant. They're doing amazing work through hip hop, literally saving lives, particularly young people from communities that have been traditionally overlooked, underloved, and, you know, under-resourced. And I'm like, yeah, the podcast exists, but if I stop paying the hosting, it's going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Can we immortalize this somehow? And I talked to the publisher, and they were like, yeah, we like this idea. It turned into like a thing for colleges and textbooks. And so then I said, wow, I can make this into a book. So I took all the, like, some foundational podcasts and episodes, and then added my own, I guess, like, sort of overarching philosophy and holistic, you know, expertise. And then it's a book. So that's how it happened.
You know, J. Ray, what I'm hearing and what resonates with me, and it might resonate with you as well, is, especially us at my big age, like, this just speaks to how we personally evolve, and and our evolution brought on by the travels, uh, school, education, the people that we meet,
Mhm.
the different experiences that we have, really speak to and inform how we relate to hip hop, and how it shows up in our daily lives, especially, you know, the Gen Xers, man. I don't know. It's so funny to us when you know, the young heads kind of like act. I'm not beating up on young people, but when they act like everything is new, and we're like, no,
No, that's not
that's
Right.
not new. That's not new. It's a different BPM, but it's not new. And so it just makes me, you know, that's what's just sticking out to me here. And as somebody who has lived many lives, worked in different arenas, you know, social worker, uh, in juvenile justice and broadcasting, you know, that I can relate to that, and how it does inform the way I think, the way I approach anything, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so with the title, Hip Hop Can Save America, this question like had popped in my head, and I was like, well, Manny, what does America need saving from the most right now?
Yeah. That's dope. And that is dope. And just to touch on, like, the many lives you've lived, I think maybe this is the thing I should say at the end, but I'll say it now in case we don't get to it. But, like, we should all be anyone at our age now should be thinking about, well, how can I take my hip hop sensibilities into the thing that I do now as a
Yes,
living, you know, for a
Exactly.
living. That's the key, right? And I think that's what permeates this in this entire book. The idea hip hop could save America was because I was talking to these folks, right? And they're like, well, all right, so I'll give you one example. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a great foundational program called Fresh Prep, and it was out of New York City. And if you know New York, you got to high schoolers, you got to graduate these Regents exams. You got to take these Regents exams. It's like state, you know, certified tests, and every state has their own version. And I found out that there was this program where kids who were failing, rough and tumble schools, inner city, all the terminology, right, were failing these tests. And I get it. Shoot, I failed my Regents test, so I understand right away. I recognize what it's like to fail them. But they were failing, some of them repeatedly, right? Because these are, like I said, underserved, under-resourced, under-loved school districts. And so they're not getting all the right education. But they have to pass these tests. And they introduced this program called Fresh Prep. And at the time, Fresh Prep would bring in, it was a pilot program, whatever, and they would bring in artists. I know my man Rabbi Darkside, now known as Sam Sellers, John Robinson. I think y'all know John Robinson, JR, from Science of Life. He was part of this program. And what they would do is they would bring in rappers that either had some kind of educational acumen or some teaching chops, or just were like smart you know what I mean? And say, okay, work with the teachers so that we could develop songs about, like, what the curriculum is. Teach these songs. These kids are gonna learn a song. They're gonna, because, you know, we could remember songs we heard when we were 7 years old.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that triggers that part of the brain. And then so the program was written up in the New York Times at the time, and like 80% of the kids that failed previously then went on to pass this test. 80%. And they're like, nothing else gives you that kind of turnaround, that kind of return on investment. And I'm like, ooh, that's amazing. And if now the program didn't for whatever reason, funding or, it was an organization, and sometimes it's organizational stuff. But then I started talking to some people who work with it. They're like, yeah, but hip hop could do more than that, because that's just rote memorization, and that's cool. Hip hop can teach you critical thinking. Yes. And I'm like, what? Tell me more. Hip hop can teach you social emotional learning. What? Tell me more. And so I'm learning, and Dr. Bettina Love, who's the first interviewee in my podcast series and in the book, she laid the foundation. If you don't know Dr. Bettina Love, I watched her TED Talk, and she broke down all of the things that, like, we know as hip hop heads, we know as people coming up in and around the culture. I know from seeing, like, growing up in black neighborhoods, the brilliance, the black excellence that surrounds us, but you can't, like, necessarily put a title to it. You can't put it in a word sometimes. And Dr. Love, she broke it down and was like, you don't understand. Everything you want kids to have, resiliency, grit, social and emotional intelligence, improvisational skills. Like, we learn that in the cypher. We learn that in rocking in the lunchroom. We learn that all of these things from hip hop. And then you go even farther. You say, like, well, what the school wasn't teaching us. Like I said, I grew up in a black neighborhood, went to black schools. All my family, all my friends' families are black, middle class, like everyone's educated and all that. And then I remember learning about black inventors throughout history, yes. Benjamin Banneker and Garrett Morgan and, Dr. Charles Drew and Madam C.J. Walker and all these, like, brilliant inventors and architects of innovation from black history. But I didn't learn about it in school. I learned about because KRS-One put out a song in 1989 called "You Must Learn."
Right.
We were just talking about edutainment the other couple episodes ago.
And I'm like, and again, I like, my black friends don't know this stuff. We all look at each other like, you. And my dad was a sociologist. He was studies urban studies, sociology of minorities. I knew what gentrification meant when I was 8. You know what I mean? like he was all into that, and none of us was learning this stuff. So if you take all of that holistically, and I say, well, damn, if America has educational disparities between race and class, right? I'm looking at ways to solve that problem. These folks are demonstrating ways to counter those disparities. If we're looking at economic disparities, well, I have a guy in the book named Richard. He works at Google. He's telling me that he started a program where they teach young people, 14 to 18 years old, in an afternoon workshop, the basics of computer programming. Yeah. By learning, by making beats. So there's a repository of music. You gotta, like, pull from it and drag and drop. My DJs and producers know you can just drag and drop these things now. Oh, let me get this loop of bass line, this loop of guitar, these drums. Start them at bar 1, go 4 bars. Bring this one in at bar 4, go 8 bars. But not dragging and dropping. You have to do it by programming. So you first have to learn the programming if-then statements. You have to learn the all the little basics. And I've seen 14 and 15-year-olds who had never touched a computer in their lives in this way. Like, they play video games, whatever. They didn't even know they could, like, use a computer in this way. In 4 hours, they're making beats by programming. They have a basic understanding of computer programming in 4 hours. And I'm like, who else but hip hop is doing this? Like, what? And so, 1,000 examples later, you know what I mean? I'm like, dang. If we're talking about educational disparity, hip hop can fix that. If we're talking about technological barriers, right? Because the communities, you don't get that in the schools, especially in communities of color. You don't get that opportunity, so we can fix that. Bettina Love also had a program called Hip Hop Civics Ed, which was teaching an out of school program to teach people how the government works. Because Lord knows they don't teach that no more, and nobody knows nothing about nothing anymore. She's using hip hop to do that. And I'm like, dang, like, fine, you mentioned plumber before. I'm like, how can I be a better plumber? How can hip hop make me a better plumber, Mr. Hip Hop Man? I'm like, well, have you heard of, like, guerrilla marketing? Because when Adidas and Run DMC, like, there's ways to, like, apply all the lessons learned through hip hop. If we do it authentically, we do it not in an extractory way. I don't know if extractory is a word, but I'm a writer. Yes, it is. Not a way that extracts, but a way that works with, in conjunction with. There's so much genius and ingenuity that, I mean, what problem couldn't we fix, except for the fact that there's a lot of powers that be want to keep us from that realization.
Yeah.
Let's just say. So that's the things I think like hip hop can fix, and I am like kind of getting to the point where like the more people I talk to and the more niches that we get into, like urban planning and architecture, and then Michael Ford has a hip hop architecture camp, like financial. Oh, our kids don't know nothing about money. Well, Pockets Change does financial literacy through hip hop. Like there's a hip hop way to fix all this, and so you know. And I ask people, I'll land my long plane like this. I ask people at the end of the podcast, like, what do you think? Like, and some people have pushed back and said, well, maybe America can't be saved, or maybe we don't want to save it. You know what I mean? Maybe we want something different. Maybe it's not like this structure. And I guess I'm of I'm of that group that believes that America, if like it ever lived up to its, ideals, and we could like break away from like the crooked, like, what do you say? Plant a crooked seed, you get a crooked tree.
Right.
But if we can kind of, on paper, pretty decent concept that everyone's equal, and it can all be like this real, idyllic kind of place. Now it's never been close to that, but I don't think that anyone. I'll caveat by saying I don't think that hip hop necessarily has all the answers. This book is not titled Solutions. For the nation. It's inspiration for the nation, because I will say that if anyone's qualified to help solve any of these problems, from political to racial divides to economic issues to educational disparities, if anyone's equipped to do it, I think the people who are most equipped come from a hip hop mindset. They come from a hip hop background. And so I want to see more people like us being able to be in those positions, and also to bring up folks under us so that that's amplified instead of squelched.
Wow.
Make sense? Did I answer it?
You answered it times 10.
All right. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And you hit on a couple of things. So one of the caveats I want to add real quick is, it was in getting ready for the show and getting into your book, Manny, that this landed for me. I remember it was the early 90s where hip hop is hitting its ascent. Ice Cube is about to have the number 2, Death Certificate is about to be number 2 on the Billboard charts. Hip hop is huge now, right? All of a sudden. And the realization, I was going to a summer camp, and we had these rich white students that were the counselors at the summer camp. They were all into hip hop, and that to my young mind was like wild, like because of what I knew hip hop to be. But what I sat with when I was reflecting on your book is hip hop in so many ways has been like a unifier for like an entire generation of folks, where throughout the world, it's crazy where you could travel. I remember being in Italy, I think I told you this story one time, and people were in Italy. They don't know any English because I was in a small town in Italy, but they knew hip hop there. Right. You know what I mean? And 100%. But I didn't think about it kind of as this, knowing it's a global phenomenon, but it truly is the possibility of being able to unify us in so many ways if we harness the power of it. And
correctly and authentically. Right.
Yes.
And because people, as we know, even in America, white people love the music, but they don't love the people. Right. I get that. Understood. And it's like, I'm not so naive to think that, bring a bunch of racist white people into a rap jam and they're going to be like, these guys are great. No. Well, it's wrong all these years. No. Although I tell an interesting story in the book, my people's Gangsta Grass, who are a bluegrass hip hop band, which could go either way.
Yes.
We've seen this work badly in the past. LL Cool J, Brad Paisley.
Dang.
But
we had to remind the people of that, Manny.
Hold on, because because I want to show now where it can work. And again, so the guys from Gangsta Grass, they actually, and it's wild because true bluegrass like musicians, fantastic bluegrass musicians, top of the line. And then my man, our son, the voice, Dolio the Sleuth from Philly rappers, spitters, together. Authentically, because we're not slapping this together as a gimmick. We're like, we want the best of the best, and we want the best of the best on either side. And we're going to actually spit these lyrics about racism to all these rednecks in the middle of Kentucky when we go and do these shows. Fascinating case study. And they're like, no, we go in. We're not going to sugarcoat it. And a lot of times they're like, well, I don't know about this. This is not my cup of tea, right? And then, but by the end, I'm not saying they're instantly like, falling in love. But where else would they get? Where else would they get this example? That unifying force exists in because it doesn't exist anywhere else. You can't find it. They're not gonna stumble across that anywhere else but in hip hop. So yes, the music, yes, the culture, yes, the remix idea of these two things don't go together, but hip hop makes them go together in a way that makes you say, like you said in the beginning, like I've never seen this before. Yeah. There's spark in that, and there's something that can be, extracted from that. So no, it's not automatic, but yes, it's in the DNA. And if we learn to be alchemists a little bit, like I think the answers are there, even to like racial division, like racism, like
So Daniel, real quick, I'm curious, Manny, because one of the things, and I'm glad you talked about this early on, like because this book is definitely academic text, like, but accessible in the same way because of the way you structure the arguments that you're making, as well as the conversations, and those interviews made it like, and it's an accessible read, and that's what I like about it as well. So anybody can pick up this.
It's listed as a textbook, but it's only because it's on the academic press. But it's a bunch of interviews, but it's also, like you said, my writing, and so I meant it to be that way, and I kind of like moan and groan a little bit that it's listed as a textbook. It is, because people were actually using some of my episodes in college classes. So I'm sorry.
No. And what I was gonna,
Yeah.
and that's why I love, because I think it. I never thought of this until now, but that also kind of demystifies the possibility, because people will hear the word like textbook or academic text and feel like, oh, that's not something that I would be interested in. And I'm here to tell you, like, actually, no, you would like be into this.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate that.
You're no problem, man. And so the thing that the thing that comes across very clear is there is the possibilities that exist for hip hop, and you've talked about it several times, to be able to help us with a lot of different things. But you've also used the word authenticity and authentically. You use that here, and you use it in the book. And and we have seen it in the past where hip hop integration is a gimmick all of a sudden, and we can see the gimmick a mile away. Like, why is this here? Like, it doesn't. I'm looking at you, Wendy's training from the 90s, which is hilarious to me. But
I know what you're talking about.
That's
I know what you're talking about.
Those are memories, yo. But so. Wax poetic a little, right? Wax poetic a little bit, right? If you could wax poetic about how to integrate hip hop from your perspective and it not be gimmicky, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna do this a lot because this is all I do is I'm trying to amplify everyone else. But Dr. Gloria Ladson Billings is in my book, and she's she's the one who coined the phrase culturally relevant pedagogy, right? And so we're not trying to be academic here. What it means is teaching people like through their culture, right? But she was an academic, and she, and this is back in the 90s, and it means like, here's a way to connect to people by not lumping everybody into Eurocentric, outdated ways of teaching in the school. These young black kids or these young Hispanic kids or even these like white kids, they're not learning the way we learned, or, our generation or 30 generations before us, the lining the schools up in rows like it's a factory. Like, we know all the things. And she breaks down a lot of what it means to be authentic when you're trying to incorporate hip hop into some of these realms. And some people do it with, good intentions, but they don't understand what they're working with, right? And she has one quote in there where she says, we don't want teachers, for example, just talking about on a teacher tip, we don't want teachers to use hip hop. We want teachers to be hip hop. That's where the magic happens. But she also talks about, and this is important because I know a lot of white folk that, that actually, like a couple of them in the book, Dr. Andrea Hunt, who teaches hip hop, the sociology of hip hop at the University of North Alabama. And I said it like that because that's exactly where it is and what it's like. It's in the new, so you already know. But she's teaching this to, sort of majority white students in a red district, and she's teaching the sociology of hip hop. And through that course, she's able to, like the Black experience comes out in a way that these kids would never have access to. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have or that, this is okay, but it's where it happens. And then they're like, oh, that little light bulbs go on. Like, I really never got exposed to this. And through hip hop, which we can all kind of get down with, even though, like I said, they like the music, they don't always like the people.
Right.
Well, now they start to at least understand the people a little bit. And Gloria Ladson-Billings says, even like these white teachers can do it. They can come in. There's one teacher she mentions who, like, he started a curriculum that didn't exist before. And she's like, well, that's kind of hip hop. He's like, I've never listened. He's like, white guy, I've never listened to hip hop a day in my life. She's like, no, what you're doing is, how we say, you're creating something from nothing. You remixing curriculum. Like, that's a hip hop way of thinking.
Yes.
And so it's not just the music. That's the biggest thing I want to take away from all this is that when we say hip hop, everyone defaults to the music.
Right.
But that's the biggest mistake we make. That's the biggest mistake we make. So the authenticity is, if you come with the understanding or at least the respect to learn more, that hip hop is this grand culture that is worldwide, but also American, that's universal, but also Black, and if you can understand all that nuance and say, well, how can I work that into what I'm doing, whether I'm white or not, then you have an authentic approach to really trying to save, I say save, that word comes up a lot. It's a little hyperbolic, hip hop to save America. But you're trying to improve the thing that you do in a way that's culturally respectful.
Right.
And you could be anybody and do that. And that's also why hip hop has always been this inviting culture that really does welcome you. Karis once said this in an interview, a lecture he did. It's on YouTube. It's in the Netherlands. I quoted in a book where he says, in America, we got this thing where Dr. King's, dream of the color of our skin, we get judged by the content of our character, not by the color of our skin. He goes, and that's like the ideal for Americans and for everyone. Like, everyone quotes that and they're like, yeah, that's what we want. He says, nowhere in the world does that happen. That doesn't actually happen anywhere. Right. Definitely doesn't happen in America. Nowhere does the content of your character take precedence over either the color of your skin or, let's just say, like, your divisions. Yeah. Right? Because you could be Israel, Palestine, y'all basically the same, people, or whatever the case. Or that's not a bad example. They're not basically the same people, but you know what I mean. You could be in two very biologically close, relations, but because you have other divides, nationalistic, religious,
nationality, all of that, ethnicity,
everything. Right. You're literally judging that we are the same color of skin, but we're judging you on we're not judging you on the content of our character. We're judging you on some other divisions. He says, nowhere in the world does that happen except in hip hop. You come in a cipher, you respect what the cipher is. You don't even have to participate in the cipher. You can just stand in a cipher and admire it and watch it and clap it up or hype somebody up. But you're understanding what this thing is. Doesn't matter what color, what race, what creed, not even your ideology, because that's not going to come out in that moment. You are welcome here. You respect what we're doing. We respect you back. And I don't know, man. Like you said, religion? No. Sports? No. Like, where do you see that? Where else does that exist? It's the only place I know. So until somebody tells me otherwise, I'm really into this idea that somewhere in that existence, because we're talking tonight, right now.
Yes.
With our backgrounds, with our identities, and we all identify in different ways and have a plethora and spectrum of who we identify as. And we cool as a fan. And these people watching are dope and they rocking with us. Well, where else is this happening? So I don't know. So yeah, the Unifying Force like it exists. And I if we spend a little less time, not saying we shouldn't get, because I know we're gonna have a pop culture segment. Like it's okay to, you know what I mean? Like, but if we spend a little more time saying, like, the power of this thing of ours, like, is underestimated, untapped. And if you approach it authentically, as all the people in my book and the hundreds of people that I've talked to and y'all and people watching, we could do some things that are unexpected and very necessary, perhaps now more than ever. But you got to come authentic. You got to come with it. You got to come right with it.
Well, listen, Q Points audience, we've had a very robust conversation. You absolutely have to get this book.
Yes.
If you do care about not just, like we were saying, not just about hip hop music, but if you care about your community, if you care about community, if you really, really do want to see and effect some type of change, because we're always talking at the problem and not speaking to the problem. Like if you really want to do affect that, there are some nuggets that you can get that Manny Faces has given to you, a blueprint, some place to start, in your community like they did in the rec rooms back in the day to affect some change. So if you hear the sound of our voice, sorry to take your line, J. Ray.
No,
if you hear the sound of my voice, find this book. As a matter of fact, Manny Faces, please tell our audience how they can find the book Hip Hop Can Save America, and please give them your socials and how they can maintain contact with you and follow your moves, your funky dope moves across this platform, this worldwide platform that we have.
I appreciate that. And I will, but I just want to say, like, thank you for this time with y'all. As you know, like, I was messing with y'all before, I even wrote a book. And just, I love what y'all do, and I love that people love what you do. So I'm a fan before I'm a guest. So thank y'all. So two ways, it's real easy: hiphopcansaveamerica.com or mannyfaces.com. Both of those places pretty much got the same stuff. hiphopcansaveamerica.com is sort of the hub of what I like to call the world's most enlightening hip hop media ecosystem, just humbly. But from there, we have the podcast, we have the link to the live stream, my YouTube channel, we have the Discord server, we have the newsletter that I put out on Substack. Some of y'all watch on Substack, please, follow and do all the things. And the book is linked there. Mannyfaces.com is more like me as a speaker, consultant, journalist, but the book is there. So either of those two places you can find the book. The link will take you to the same place. You can do one of two things. You could buy a regular old copy from the publisher. That's cool. You can actually find it on Amazon, but we're not supporting that. But then the option on the website when you click it is you can get a signed copy from me for about the same price that you get the regular copy. And then you get a special gift that's handcrafted by the world famous Baby Girl Faces. So a little bonus, a little author package for y'all on the website.
Oh,
yeah. So there you go.
I love that.
Yeah. So mannyfaces.com, hiphopcansaveamerica.com. And again, it's not me. Like, I'm just the face of this, thing, but just, come for the handsomeness, but stay for the culture.
Yes. You gotta go with the hook, Manny. It's all good.
So stupid. So stupid. Yeah, but I got 100 episodes. I got 100 episodes. I got 100 episodes with people that are just brilliant and doing amazing work. And yeah, it's definitely for the culture, for the community, of the culture, by the culture, for the culture. Like, I really mean it. Like, sometimes someone put out a song and be like, yeah, check out my song for the culture. I'm like, it's just a song. Like, it's not, you're not doing anything really for any culture. It's just you put out a song and it's nice, whatever. Like, if you, find me someone that's not in this, like, plethora of folks that I've talked to that aren't like doing life-changing, groundbreaking work. They're out there and we're doing them. And my job is just to amplify them and signal boost them. So thanks for checking me out. You checking them out.
Man, oh man. Manny Faces, thank you so much for coming through and hanging out with us at Q Points. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you can see our faces and hear our voices, go ahead and make sure that you subscribe. Share the show with your friends, family, colleagues. If you like the show, chances are they will like the show too. Make sure that y'all are following Manny Faces make wherever all of the platforms, because Manny Faces has a YouTube channel and all of that stuff. So
I'm everywhere.
you could be tuning into Manny Faces.
Google Manny Faces and the thing you want to find me at. So Google Manny Faces Instagram, Manny Faces OnlyFans. No, not that one. No, I'm just kidding. No, I take that one back.
Listen.
Hey, yo.
Listen, it's 2025.
Outreach is real. Outreach is real.
Listen, multiple revenue streams is the key. No, go ahead.
So 2 more things. Visit our website, qpoints.com. Make sure that you check out Q Points Magazine over on Substack. So some of y'all are joining us from the Q Points Mag. Thank you so much. And last but not least, go ahead and shop our store at store.qpoints.com. We appreciate y'all, folks. We love y'all, folks. Thank you.
Sure do. Buy us a coffee.
Buy us a coffee.
Listen,
mini coffees.
Manny coffees. I'll tell you that my puns make you say this.
This is perhaps the highlight of this long and painful and torturous night.
So anyway.
Listen, Manny Faces is a true professional. You see how quickly he had that soundbite ready?
He had it queued up and ready to go. Hey,
it's Q Points. I got to queue it up. Listen, y'all are so dope, and I appreciate y'all so much, man. Yeah, everyone support what y'all doing. It's, brilliant work, and I appreciate you. And your whole back end, doing all the things we had to do ahead of time, so professional, so easy.
Thank you.
Man, listen, we should do this more often.
Absolutely. But what, guys? So what do I say at the end of every night? What do we do? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
I am Jay Ray. That's Manny Faces.
I'm Manny Faces.
Yes. And this has been Q Points Podcast. Dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. All right, y'all. Peace. We out.
Peace, y'all.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.